You know, there's something really special about rediscovering lost media, isn't there? That feeling when you dig up something from the past you thought was just gone.
Oh, absolutely. Like finding an old favorite tape or something.
Exactly. And today we're diving into that exact feeling, but for classic Dungeons and Dragons modules, we're talking about a piece of D&D history that literally had to be like pieced back together from old notes to even exist again.
And it's called
Wait for it.
The Lost City.
It
The
does.
irony,
It
right?
gets perfect. So yeah, our mission today on the deep dive is to really explore original adventures reincarnated, hashtag for the Lost City. And this isn't just any old module. It's the original TSR B4 module from way back in 1982.
Wow, 82.
Yeah. And for years, seriously, parts of it were basically missing, lost to the sands of time, you could say. But thanks to the amazing dedication of the B&D community, someone actually managed to track down all these scattered bits and pieces.
From old campaign notes and stuff. Exactly. Painstakingly reassembled it all, and it got republished in 2020. And the
Yeah.
cool thing is, it's beautifully expanded now with full 5th edition
Yeah,
compatibility.
that's awesome. So old school feel, new school rules.
Pretty much. So we're going to dig into its historical significance, which is huge. It's really unique design, and how it actually still impacts D&D storytelling even now.
Cool. And just so you know, all the juicy details we're sharing come straight from the original Adventures Reincarnated hashtag for the Lost City PDF. This thing is packed.
Oh yeah, it's got the original module content, but also tons of appendices, plus some really insightful introductions and interviews. They shed a lot of light on how it was made, and it's an incredible journey back from being lost.
All right, sounds like a plan. So if you're ready to uncover some forgotten D&D secrets, let's get lost in the Lost City.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first things first, where does the Lost City actually sit in the big picture of early D&D modules? It came out from TSR in 1982. Now, a lot of folks who've been playing a long time, they'll immediately think of modules like Keep on the Borderlands or In Search of the Unknown. Those became iconic, partly because they were often bundled right in with the basic set rules.
Yeah, everyone had those.
Exactly. But the Lost City, it wasn't included. And because it wasn't in those starter sets, it just didn't get that same instant recognition, It didn't get played quite as much right away. So in a way, it was kind of overlooked from the get-go, even though it had some really remarkable stuff going on.
It's kind of funny, isn't it? An unsung hero, maybe?
Yeah.
Mike Mearls, who's looked at this module a lot, has a really interesting take. He basically says that even though it was overlooked, the Lost City is totally a worthy successor to those famous ones.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because, he argues, it was just, well, ahead of its time. Now, what does that mean? Well, think about a lot of modules back then. A lot were pretty heavy on the hack and slash, right? Clear the room, get the loot.
Yeah, classic dungeon crawl.
Right. But the Lost City did something different. It put a huge emphasis on deep history, on lore. You weren't just clearing rooms, you were like peeling back layers of this forgotten civilization, finding secrets that actually changed how you interacted with things.
Okay, so more story-focused.
Definitely. Which led to a stronger focus on roleplay, too. You had chances for, nuanced interactions beyond just I attack the goblin. And maybe the biggest thing, it gave you a clear campaign-long goal. It was pretty rare back then.
A bigger objective than just finishing the dungeon?
Exactly. It gave players this larger narrative to aim for, a sense of purpose that went way beyond just clearing the next room. It was really pushing what a D&D adventure could be.
That makes sense. And I think tied into that lore focus, one of the really groundbreaking things about The Lost City was how it handled the villain. I mean, before this, you often had, powerful NPCs or maybe a tough monster at the end of a dungeon.
Right, the final boss.
Yeah. But The Lost City gives us Zargon. And Zargon isn't just some tough monster. He's this looming, almost godlike threat. A grand, powerful villain you could build a whole campaign around.
Ah, okay. So not just an encounter, but an arc.
Exactly. It wasn't just a boss fight. It was this epic goal. Defeating Zargon was the point. That kind of design really elevated the scope of D&D storytelling back then, gave players that real long-term motivation.
And that bigger narrative scope, that's pure Tom Moldvay.
Yeah.
He designed The Lost City, and he actually saw it as part of what he called his pulp fantasy trilogy.
Oh, interesting. What were the others?
The Isle of Dread and Castle Amber. Now, he was quick to say they weren't connected story-wise, but thematically, yeah. They all drew really heavily from those old 20th century pulp magazines, the adventurous, exotic, kind of weird tales.
I can see that vibe. Isle of Dread definitely has that.
Right. And Isle of Dread is super well known because it came with the D&D expert set in '81, so tons of people played it. But Moldvay himself apparently had a real soft spot for the Lost City, partly because it was often overlooked compared to its big brothers. He felt it deserved more attention.
A hidden gem, then.
Pretty much. And what a journey it had. From overlooked to literally lost media.
It's kind of amazing, really. How did they even piece it back together?
Well, it sounds like it was a massive community effort. People digging through old campaign notes, dusty archives, forum posts, basically D&D archaeology, trying to find every scrap, every map fragment, every description.
Wow. That's dedication.
Totally. And the result, which Goodman Games put out in 2020, isn't just a scan of the old pages. It's this beautifully redone version that keeps the original feel, but expands on it.
And crucially, it's playable today, right?
That's the best part. Full 5th edition compatibility. So it's not just a museum piece you admire on the shelf, though it looks great there too. It's been meticulously updated. Stat blocks, rules conversions, even some extra content to flesh things out for 5e.
So you could literally run this Lost module for your group right now.
Yep. Pick it up and go. It bridges that gap between classic D&D and the current edition perfectly. It shows how good design lasts, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a living document being rediscovered.
That's really cool. And speaking of history, even the printing history is a bit of a mystery, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The source material mentions there are basically no definitive records from early TSR about print runs. Typical for back then, I guess.
So how do collectors figure it out?
Painstakingly. They look for tiny variations. Like the very first printing, it has this specific yellow diagonal stripe on the cover, top left.
Yeah.
Later, they switched to a yellow banner across the top. But even that had multiple printings. You have to look for subtle differences in the ISBN number placement or the product number, sometimes even tiny variations in hole punching or the exact cover size.
Wow, that's getting into the weeds.
Totally. And then there was a red banner edition later on, which they think was probably just one printing. It just shows how dedicated the community is to preserving this history, but also kind of highlights the charming chaos of early game publishing.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got the background, the history, the rediscovery. Let's finally step inside. Let's talk about starting the adventure, getting into that pyramid.
Right. The module gives DMs a couple of great starting hooks, both designed to throw you right in and create immediate tension.
What are they?
Okay, first one is a classic survival setup. Your party gets separated from their caravan during a massive sandstorm. You're lost, running out of water, low on supplies, desperate. And then you stumble upon these upper ruins of an ancient city, including a step pyramid.
So exploring isn't just curiosity, it's survival.
Exactly. And the module specifically tells the DM, if you use this hook, to keep reminding them that they are hungry, thirsty, and tired. It's not just flavor. It's a way to push the players, make them feel that urgency, drives the action.
I like that. What's the other hook?
The other one's more plot-driven. You get hired to track down some desert raiders. They've kidnapped innocent people, maybe folks important to the characters, even. And word is they're taking them to the Lost City.
Why?
For sacrifice. To the Zarganites. So again, strong motivation pushes you right towards the pyramid, makes it personal.
Both sound like great ways to kick things off. So once you get inside the pyramid, what's it like?
Well, picture this. It's built from these huge, smooth stone blocks. Big scale. The rooms are mostly just bare stone slabs, maybe a few inches of sand drifted in over the centuries. Gives you that sense of age, desolation.
How big are the passages and rooms?
Generally, passages are about 10 feet high. Rooms are 15 feet high.
Yeah.
So consistent, but imposing. And the doors, they're these massive stone slabs. You got to push them inward. They're tough, high AC, lots of hit points, resistant to slashing and piercing, but vulnerable to bludgeoning. Or you need a good strength check to force them. They're meant to be real obstacles.
Makes sense for an ancient pyramid. And lighting.
Mostly. None.
Yeah.
It's primarily unlit inside, which, you know, massively ramps up the sense of mystery and danger. You're literally stepping into the dark, torches flickering, every shadow could be hiding something.
Classic dungeon atmosphere. Love it.
And those dark corners, they don't stay empty for long. You quickly run into the pyramid's inhabitants and its hazards. Tiers 1 and 2, that's basically dungeon level 1. You'll find various Cynidiceans, some giant bugs like centipedes and locusts, even goblins hanging around.
Standard dungeon critters mixed in.
Yeah, but the module also throws in some clever traps that reward careful looking. Like in one area, you see these bronze cylinders, look like statue bases, right?
Yeah.
Turns out they're hollow and hide dart traps inside. DC 15 perception to even spot the trigger. DC 13 dex to try and jam it. It's a good example of how the environment itself is dangerous, not just the monsters.
Makes you paranoid in a good way. What about really iconic hazards?
Ooh, you know it's got to have green slime.
No.
Area 8, I think.
Uh,
The floor is just covered in it. The description says it makes the room look oddly damp and shimmer.
Ooh, nasty. What did it do back in the original?
It was brutal. Dissolved wood and metal in like 6 rounds. It touched your skin. Turned your flesh to slime in 1 to 4 rounds unless you burned it off immediately.
Burned it off. Ouch.
Yeah, damaged you in the slime. It was a real oh crap moment, a race against time. Super memorable, super deadly.
How does it work in 5e? It's still scary.
Oh yeah. They kept the danger level high. Touch it in 5e, you take 1d10 acid damage right away, and another 1d10 at the start of each of your turns until it's removed. And it still eats through wood and metal super fast. 2d10 acid damage per round to non-magical stuff used to scrape it.
So you can't just scrape it off easily. How do you get rid of it?
Fire, cold, or radiant damage will destroy it.
Yeah.
Or anything that cures disease, interestingly. So it's still this classic environmental hazard that forces you to think fast and creatively, not just swing your sword. It's problem solving under extreme pressure.
Okay, so slime pits, dart traps. What else is lurking in these upper tiers?
Well, as you get down to Tier 3, you hit something really unique mechanically. The revolving passage.
Revolving, like a turntable.
Exactly. It's this central passage built on a massive turntable run by weights and counterweights. It's a physical navigational puzzle. Inside the passage, there are buttons on the walls. Press 1, and that end of the passage swings clockwise, lining up with different hallways.
Whoa, that's cool. So you have to figure out how to rotate it to get where you want to go.
Precisely. It forces you to think spatially, maybe map it out. It's a really clever bit of design, much more interesting than just another corridor.
Definitely. So what's on Tier 4?
Tier 4. Now you're getting into the royal burial chambers. This is where King Alexander and Queen Zenobia, rulers of Cynidicia, were laid to rest, along with their court officials. So the history gets deeper here.
Does that mean more traps? Or maybe undead?
Both, but also some really interesting psychological stuff. For instance, you might encounter the ghostly haunts of the king and queen. They're described as shimmering figures, totally non-physical, can't harm you directly.
Okay, so what's the catch?
The catch is just seeing them is terrifying enough to force save versus spells, or likely a wisdom save in 5e, fail, and you're struck with fear for 1 to 4 turns. It's terror without combat, pure atmosphere.
I like that, using fear as a weapon. Are there regular monsters too?
Oh yeah, like there's a Master Thief's burial room guarded by a carrion crawler. Inside the coffin, you find valuable gems and some lockpicks. Classic dungeon setup. But then you get stuff like the polymar.
The what?
Polymar. Imagine you walk into a room, see this cool tapestry on the wall, looks normal, maybe shows some historical scene. But if you look closely, maybe an elf has a better chance. The module notes you might realize something's off. It's heavier than it should be. Because it's not a tapestry, it's a polymar, a creature that looks exactly like one.
Whoa, does it attack?
If you don't spot it, yeah, it attacks with surprise. It's another one of those clever illusions, hidden dangers that play on your assumptions. Keeps you constantly guessing what's just decoration and what's going to try and eat you.
Man, this pyramid is full of surprises. What awaits on Tier 5? Even deeper.
Tier 5 gets even weirder, maybe more sophisticated encounters.
Yeah?
Take the werefoxes in Area 51.
Werefoxes, not werewolves.
Nope, werefoxes.
Yeah.
Super unique lycanthropes. It's a brother and sister pair, and they're disguised as Cynidiceans. They even wear the bronze fox masks and have red hair, which ties into another faction later.
Okay, interesting. Are they hostile?
Not necessarily. That's what's cool. They actually prefer not to fight. They have charm person abilities, and they'd rather try to bargain with you, trick you, maybe trade for treasure. They only shift into their fox forms to fight, or, more likely, escape if things go south.
So a social encounter with lycanthropes. That's different.
Exactly. It really highlights that focus on role play and finding non-combat solutions. They even have interesting loot, like jewelry, a +1 sword, a helm of alignment change, stuff that fits their tricky nature.
Cool. What else is down there? Any familiar faces?
Well, you can't have a classic dungeon without a gelatinous cube, right? Area 53. The description gives it away. The room looks oddly damp and seems to shimmer. Classic signs.
Gotta watch where you step.
Definitely. But then, just a few rooms later, Area 57, you find something totally different. Gambling Cynidiceans.
Gambling? How does that work with the whole living in a dream thing?
That's the interesting part. These particular Cynidiceans are described as sharing a common dream, which somehow makes them act more normally. They're less lost in individual hallucinations. They might even invite the party to join their games of chance.
Huh. So you could potentially sit down and shoot dice with the locals.
Pretty much. It's a fantastic change of pace, a chance for pure role play, interacting with these strange people on a more mundane, relatable level. Breaks up the constant tension.
Love it. Are there bigger threats as you get closer to the bottom?
Oh, absolutely. As you approach the final areas leading toward Zargon's lair, the Guardians get tougher. There's a chimera in Area 95, but it's painted to look like Madar the Judge, one of their old gods. Suggests the Zargon cult is twisting the old ways.
Creepy.
And near a painting of a woman washing spirits in fire, symbolic stuff there, you find a bone golem guarding the way in Area 96. These are serious challenges, signaling you're getting close to the heart of the pyramid's power.
Okay, so we've navigated the pyramid's traps and guardians, but the real heart of this module seems to be the people living there, the Cynidiceans. Tell me more about them. Who are they?
Right, they're central to the whole experience. The module calls them a degenerate offshoot of humans. Basically, they've lived underground for so incredibly long.
It's changed them physically.
Yeah, big time. Their skin is pale, pasty, their hair is bone white or light gray, and their eyes have gotten huge, giving them dark vision, but also making them really sensitive to sunlight if they ever went topside. Their whole physiology tells a story of isolation.
Wow. What about their culture, their clothes?
It's very distinct. They wear these colorful loose robes or cloaks, sometimes togas, simple sandals, and almost always these elaborate masks, often depicting animals, decorated with feathers, beads, bones. Very striking visually.
Masks. Interesting. But the weirdest thing is the dream state, right?
That's the absolute key. It's their most compelling trait, and where the role-playing gets really interesting, they spend most of their lives lost in these weird dreams that basically replace reality for them.
How does that even work? Is it just random chaos?
Not quite. The module says it's strange but understandable that there's a kind of logic and stable structure hidden beneath their hallucinations. So interacting with them isn't impossible, but it becomes this amazing puzzle trying to figure out what their reality is in that moment. It's a fertile field for exciting roleplay, as the book puts it.
Okay, give me an example. How would that play out?
All right, imagine you bump into a Cynidicean wearing a wolf mask. He doesn't just think he's a werewolf, he believes it. He's howling, sniffing the air, might try to bite you if you get close.
So you fight him.
Maybe. But he might only react defensively to, say, magic or silvered weapons, because in his dream reality, he's immune to normal stuff. Or picture 3 Cynidiceans in scary devil masks, swinging incense burners. They think they're powerful clerics and you're demons they need to drive away. They're shouting, waving foul smoke at you. One's even named Brother Theodius.
Brother Theodius, the delusional devil mask cleric. That's fantastic.
Isn't it? They're not just monsters. They're these complex social encounters, these psychological puzzles.
Right.
It forces you to engage with them on their terms, which is just brilliant design for role-playing.
Okay, so the individuals are fascinatingly strange. What about the society? Are there, like, groups or factions?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And these factions are vying for control, adding another layer of complexity. First up, you've got the Brotherhood of Gorm. They're the lawful good guys, relatively speaking.
Who's a Gorm?
God of strength, justice, and lightning storms. Their motto is pretty cool. Justice shall be swift like a sandstorm. Their whole deal is might makes right, but punishment should fit the crime and be merciful. They believe rules are essential for order.
And what's their goal?
Simple. Overthrow Zargon, kick the cult out, and restore Cynidicia to its former glory. Their leader is a guy named Canadius. He's described as stern-looking, but actually kindly. Prefers strategy over brute force, but he's brave when he needs to be. Sounds like a solid leader type.
Seems like potential allies for the party, then.
Could be. But here's a really neat mechanic. If you try to join the Brotherhood, Canadius secretly uses a helm of telepathy to check if you're sincere.
Whoa. How does that work at the table?
The DM is told to basically ask the player directly, is your character sincere about joining? And warns them that if they say yes, acting against the Brotherhood's interests later might be magically forbidden or have consequences. It puts real teeth into alignment and commitment.
That's clever. Really makes you think about your character's motives. Okay, who else is there?
Next are the Magi of Usamigaras. They're a neutral-aligned, wizard-focused cult.
Usamigaras. God of what?
Healing, messengers, and thieves. Bit of an odd mix. They look striking too, rainbow robes, silver masks showing a smiling child, which apparently matches some statues in the pyramid, silver daggers, and they all have this 5-pointed star mark on their left palm.
Any particular allies or enemies?
Yeah, they're friendly towards clerics, thieves, elves, and other arcane spellcasters, but they tend to look down on fighters, dwarves, and halflings. So party composition might affect interactions.
Interesting prejudice. What are they about?
Their worship is based on astronomical alignments and ancient texts. And here's a key thing. They've lost a lot of magical knowledge over the generations underground. So they are super eager to trade magic items they might have for any inscribed spells the party might possess. Offers a great hook for interaction and trade.
Trading spells for magic items.
Nice.
Who leads them?
A guy named Aurigus Cirkinos. He seems jolly, fun-loving on the surface, but secretly, the module says he's ruthless and a fanatic who cares more about his own power than the faction's actual goals.
Ooh, a potential snake in the grass. That makes dealing with them tricky. How do you know if you can trust him?
Exactly. It adds this great layer of intrigue and potential betrayal. A fantastic dilemma for players.
Yeah.
Work with the powerful but possibly treacherous wizard.
Or look elsewhere. Like who?
Well, there are the warrior maidens of Matarua, a sisterhood worshipping Matarua. She's the goddess of agriculture, hunting, nature, fertility. Remember the werefoxes?
Yeah, bronze fox masks, red hair.
Same look for these warrior maidens. Bronze fox masks, red hair. Makes you wonder if there's a connection, right? Maybe the werefoxes infiltrated them, or it's just a common symbol for Madurua followers.
Interesting. What are they like?
They're very dedicated, keep their shrine spotless. And they have these listening holes hidden behind drapes so they can hear loud noises from a nearby room.
Oh.
If someone messes with their shrine, they investigate and attack, fiercely protective.
Okay, so Gorm is lawful good. Usamigaris is neutral wizards. Maduro is nature hunting focused. Who's left? The big bads.
Right. Despite all these other groups, the cult of Zargon is explicitly called out as still the strongest power in the underground city, even though, funnily enough, the module notes their services have poor attendance.
So their power isn't based on popularity?
Nope, it's based on fear and force. The priests of Zargon capture innocents, hold them in barred cells in the Temple of Zardon, that's Area K in the city, and plan to sacrifice them in Zargon's slime pit. And they use hobgoblins as their muscle or enforcers.
Grim stuff. And Zargon himself. We talked about the pyramid layer, Area 100. Remind me what he looks like again.
Oh, it's a sight. Huge. 15 feet tall humanoid shape rising from slime, giant lizard head, a single unique black horn with silver flecks curving up over his one big red eye, mouthful of sharp teeth. Instead of arms, he's got 6 tentacles, 3 per side, ending in razor talons, and he moves on 6 more thick, powerful tentacles. Pure nightmare fuel.
Definitely sounds like a memorable final boss. And the key weakness was the horn, right?
Exactly. He regenerates like crazy 25 hit points per turn in the 5e version as long as that horn is intact. The only way to kill him permanently is to destroy the horn. You have to cast it into volcanic fire. The module specifically points to a place in the underground city called the Eye of Zargon, likely a lava pit or something similar in Area Q. This turns defeating him into a multi-step process. Get the horn, survive, get it to the specific location, destroy it. That's the campaign goal.
That's brilliant. Makes it so much more than just reducing hit points to 0. It's a quest within the final confrontation.
Totally. And just to add insult to injury, remember that cursed scroll in his lair, read it, and poof, you turn into a 3-foot-tall mini-Zargon, but without the awesome regeneration. Classic D&D trap.
Gotta love those cursed scrolls. Okay, so defeating Zargon involves more than just the pyramid. It leads you out into the wider underground city.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The module makes it clear. After the pyramid, the adventure isn't over. DMs are encouraged to expand the adventure further. It becomes this open-ended campaign about potentially rebuilding the Cynidicean civilization. It shifts gear from dungeon crawl to something more like a sandbox, a city-based campaign.
So what's this underground city like?
It's designed as a whole ecosystem. You've got the underground lake area A, which is their main freshwater source, fed by these rock-cut channels, and it's full of fish. Vital for survival down there.
Makes sense. What else?
In the middle of the lake is the Island of Death Area B. Super creepy name.
But what's really cool is that it has this Stonehenge-like group of arches that were there before the Cynidiceans even arrived.
Whoa! Older ruins. Seems like it. The Cynidiceans later used it for mass funeral pyres and reburying bodies from the catacombs, which is why it became haunted by undead. But it leaves this big question hanging. Who built those arches? What were they for originally? It adds this awesome layer of deeper, unresolved history.
Love little mysteries like that. What about the city's infrastructure?
Pretty impressive, considering they carved these long water channels, Area H, leading from the lake all the way to hidden springs under the desert. That's how they get fresh water. There's also Orpheus Park Area I, which is like a landscaped area with giant mushrooms and weird rock formations. Shows they tried to make it somewhat livable, maybe even beautiful down there.
A park with giant
Yeah.
mushrooms? Cool. And the factions have bases here, too.
Yep. Specific strongholds for the Magi of Usamigaris, Area M, and the Warrior Maidens of Madarua, Area N. Gives you distinct places to go for dealing with those groups. Makes the city feel more like a real, lived-in place with different neighborhoods or zones of control.
Is it just Cynidiceans down there?
Not at all. Across the lake, you've got the Goblin Cliff Dwellings Area O. And it's not just goblins. The module lists hobgoblins, thools, nasty goblin-hobgoblin ghoul hybrids, bugbears, ogres, even trolls living there. Adds a whole different flavor of encounters and danger. Shows it's a contested, dangerous underground world.
So lots to explore, lots of different groups to interact with or fight. How does the module suggest running these city adventures?
It really pushes for variety. It encourages DMs and players to try many different styles of play. It's not just combat. It's diplomacy, investigation, exploration, maybe even political maneuvering between the factions.
Does it give specific examples?
Yeah, it throws out some great adventure hooks to get you started. Like the ambush. Zargon's priests team up with goblins and hobgoblins for a planned attack on the party. Focuses on tactics, survival.
Sounds tense.
Or raid on the Temple of Zargon. Even if Zargon's gone, his priests are still powerful. This could be a revenge mission, or maybe one of the other factions hires you to take them out, or you need to rescue prisoners from their cells before they're sacrificed. Lots of planning involved there.
Okay, more combat focused. What about other styles?
There's the prophecy. You find a clue about a powerful relic hidden on the Island of Death. Its return is supposed to restore Cynidicia. So it becomes this quest guided by clues, more investigation and exploration.
Ooh, I like that one. Any others?
My favorite might be the antidote. There's a quest for a rare, small white flower hidden deep in the lower catacombs. This flower is the only cure for the Cynidicians' dream state.
Cure them.
Wow, that's a big goal.
Huge. And the module specifically says this is a situation where magic and cold steel are not enough. You need wit, maybe diplomacy. You might have to deal with a mysterious guardian. Could even be one of the gods like Gorm or Medarua in disguise. It really pushes non-combat solutions.
That sounds amazing. Really changes the dynamic. Okay, let's dive even deeper. What are some of the specific cool locations within this underground city?
All right, let's get specific. The Brotherhood of Gorm's Gauntlet Area L is a great example of tailored challenges. It's a series of rooms designed as tests for people wanting to join the Brotherhood.
Tests. Like what?
Well, there's the test of balance and ingenuity in L12.
Yeah.
You find this big metal scale. One side has feathers, the other a stone block. And there's a cryptic synodation clue.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to balance it. It's pure problem solving.
Not just fighting. Cool. Anything more hazardous?
Oh, yeah. Area L15 is a green slime pit. A 30-foot drop straight on a green slime. There are ropes hanging down equally spaced. You need good dex checks to swing across without falling in or touching more slime dripping from above. Classic D&D physical challenge.
Okay, that sounds suitably dangerous. What else stands out?
How about the Fire Elemental Fortress in Area Q4? This place is wild.
Fire Elemental Fortress. Tell me more.
It's described as a Darren's Instant Fortress of the Magic Item Tower, but this one's been modified. It has permanent levitation, and the metal is scorched hot. Touching it deals fire damage every turn.
A flying, burning tower. Underground.
Pretty much, and it's ruled by an Afridi named Nazar, who has magma mephits as servants. Nazar controls the levitation, knows the command words. It's this completely unexpected high fantasy encounter right there in the depths. Who expects to fight an Afridi in a flying fire fortress under the desert?
Nobody. That's amazing. Totally changes the game.
Right. It just shows the creativity mold they packed in here. Then you got things like the Ant Colony Area T. It's this huge multi-level cave system where some Cynidicians actually farm fungi.
Farm fungi?
With the help of giant ants. They tend the fungia gardens guarded by giant soldier ants. It creates this weird, symbiotic, almost alien ecosystem right there. A whole society built around ants and mushrooms.
Weird and wonderful. Okay, one more crazy location.
Let's talk about the Verdant Prison Area U. This place has a really cool magical entry. There's a Naiad Queen statue in rooms U6 and U7. Looks like a normal statue.
But it's not, right?
Nope. If you stroke its hair, it magically teleports you into the lair of the Verdant Minotaur, hidden in U7. It's the only way in. A magical trap and gateway rolled into one.
So, what is the Verdant Minotaur?
He's super cool visually. A minotaur, but covered in plants, green skin, shaggy roots instead of fur, like a topiary monster. And he's got a neat lair action. He can meld into hedge wall, basically disappearing into the plant growth around his lair to ambush you.
Sneaky. How does he fight?
Prefers to charge, uses a great tax in his gore attack. Pretty standard Minotaur tactics, but that molding ability makes him way more unpredictable. And he guards a valuable gold chalice, 5,000 Grim P worth. So, a tough fight with a unique monster and a big reward.
Yeah, this module just keeps going deeper and deeper. We've done the pyramid, the city. What else is there?
It keeps expanding. Chapter 7 details the goblin frontier. These are more natural caves, maybe some minor carving, but distinct from the pyramid. And they're cooler than the desert, need less water, which is a nice detail for players still thinking about survival.
What kind of goblin stuff do you find?
Typical guard rooms, goblins stringing up hammocks. Interestingly, they use long spears, like lances, specifically to fight off hook horrors that also live down there.
Yeah.
Gives you a picture of their daily struggles.
Hook horrors. Nasty. Any other interesting details?
Yeah, there's a waste pit, basically a shaft they use for garbage. It attracts tons of giant rats, and if you poke around in there too long looking for scraps, the rats attack. It's a small thing, but adds realism, consequences for just digging through trash.
Makes sense. What about loot?
Their storeroom has plundered rations, jerky, nuts, dried fruit, but also hidden bolts of silk, a sign of their raids on caravans, maybe. And the cave layout itself is interesting. It's designed for three-dimensional combat.
Oh.
Lots of ledges, multiple levels. The module mentions like 60 goblins spread out across these levels.
Yeah.
So area of effect spells like Fireball are good, but you can't hit everyone at once. You got to think vertically, use line of sight carefully, makes goblin fights more tactical.
I like that. Anything else special about these goblins?
They have snake handlers, goblins who are experts at handling and throwing poisonous snakes at you.
Yeah.
And they've built up a resistance to the venom.
Throwing snakes, that's horrible and unexpected.
Totally. A unique ranged attack you wouldn't see coming.
Yeah.
And if you manage to fight your way through all that, you might find the true throne room, guarded by this flabby goblinoid eating meat from a silver platter. Such a great, pathetic image for a goblin boss.
Nah. Okay, so goblins, what's beyond them? Chapter 8.
Chapter 8 moves into the Hobgoblin Stronghold. These guys are much more organized, more military. They have a hidden control room with murder slits to shoot arrows or bolt in the approach area. And levers
Levers for what?
to operate portcullises and pit traps in the corridors. This is a very defensive tactical setup. Shows they're smarter, more prepared than the goblins.
Sounds tough. Any particularly nasty traps?
Oh, yeah. There's this one false door trap that's crazy complicated. You open the door, it's spring-loaded, swings open fast to smack you.
Ouch.
And then it triggers 4 javelins to shoot down the corridor right at you. It's a multi-stage nightmare. How do you even spot that, let alone disarm it? Requires serious perception and thieves' tool skills.
Brutal. Are they well armed otherwise?
Definitely. Their weapon storage is described as well-stocked. Battle axes, war picks, heavy crossbows, long swords. They're a proper fighting force. And get this, the hobgoblin captain keeps a carnivorous white apes in cages.
White apes? Like killer monkeys?
Basically, and he can release them during a fight. Plus, the apes can grab stuff and throw it at you as improvised weapons. Just adds more chaos and unpredictable danger to the fight.
Hobgoblins with attack apes. Classic. What about ogres? Weren't they mentioned?
Yep. Further into Chapter 8, you find the ogre lair. They have this crude but working water conveyor system. Pulleys, chains, troughs to haul water up from the underground lake. It even uses bells to signal a hill giant who helps operate it.
A hill giant working with ogres? Interesting alliance.
Shows the interconnectedness down there. And inside the lair, there's a big metal pot over a fire pit. But it's actually a huge copper bell, just covered in soot. The ogres might try to shove you into the bell.
Shoved into a giant hot bell. Lovely. Do the ogres have any good treasure?
They do. Hidden behind a big boulder, find silk, ale, coins, an ironwood longbow.
Yeah.
But the real prize is a stone coffer. It has a false bottom the ogres missed.
Ooh, secret compartment. What's inside?
Evaporated potions of invulnerability. The residue's still there. If you add pure water and make an intelligence arcana check, you can reconstitute them. How cool is that? A reward for being super thorough and smart.
That's fantastic. Really rewards players who investigate everything.
Okay.
Where else do these deep tunnels lead?
Eventually, you can reach the sink, which is part of the lower catacombs. It's this big cavern floor, glistening with moisture, covered in lichen and fungus, very atmospheric.
That's dangerous.
It is. Lots of wandering monsters down here, especially undead wights, shadows, wraiths, but also other cavern critters like giant cave locusts, deep gnomes, giant fire beetles. It feels wild, untamed, constantly hazardous.
Any weird landmarks down there?
There's a miniature pyramid, just 8 feet high, smooth stone, with with an ink symbol indented on it, no explanation given, just there. Another cool mystery.
Love it. Anything else in the sink?
Sadly, yes. The Ruby Mines, Area 4. Here you find the grim reality. Manacle slaves, mostly goblins and deep gnomes, forced to mine rubies by hobgoblin overseers with whips and crossbows. The hobgoblin captain has the keys and a sack of rough rubies.
It's dark. Presents a real moral choice for the players, doesn't it? Intervene or not.
Absolutely, and it reinforces the harshness of this underground world.
Duh.
But for DMs looking beyond the Lost City, there's also a hidden passage down here, Area 8, leading to the Underdark.
Ah, the hook for more adventurers.
Exactly. It's patrolled by darklings, sealed by a boulder. Only a few denizens even know about it. Perfect way to transition to a whole new campaign setting if the players are up for it.
Okay, one last deep dive. Chapter 9, The Mines of Doom. Sounds ominous.
It holds some really unique encounters. First, the Myconid Caves. You find Myconid sprouts and their sovereign leader. They cultivate these big fungi fields.
Mushroom people. Cool. Can you talk to them?
Yeah, they communicate via melding. It's like a shared telepathic dream state. The sovereign is kind of aloof, but it offers the party powerful potions, healing, mind-reading, vitality, luck if they agree to destroy Cephalocore.
Cephalocore. Sounds familiar.
Should be. Mind Flayer. So there's this whole other conflict happening down there between the Myconids and a Mind Flayer, and the party can get involved. Offers a non-combat way to get powerful rewards.
Interesting dynamic. What else is in the Mines of Doom?
There's a warming pit, a geothermal area. And guess who lives there? Dagathra, a young, cocky dragon.
A dragon. Finally. Ready for a big fight.
Well, maybe not. Dagathra is described as more interested in playing pranks and maybe trading information specifically. He wants a horse than actually fighting the party. He actively avoids the Mind Flayer Cephalocore, which is a useful clue. He's got personality.
A trickster dragon who wants a horse. I love it. Subverts expectations. Does he have a hoard, though?
Oh, absolutely. A big one. Tons of gold and platinum, lots of gems, red carnelians, violet garnets, peridot, even star rubies, plus cool items. A silver chain, an elven harp, a gold inlaid wooden sarcophagus, a gold dragon statuette, a golden ankh, a platinum bracelet. Oh, and a mace of disruption.
Wow. That's a serious haul, worth dealing with a cocky dragon for, maybe.
Definitely a huge potential reward for players who can successfully negotiate with or outsmart Dagathra rather than just charging in.
Okay, wow. We have really covered a lot today. What an incredible module from its history as this overlooked, almost lost classic.
Yeah, and that amazing story of being pieced back together by the community.
Right. Then diving into the pyramid itself, all those layers, the traps, the revolving passage.
The ghosts, the polymar, the werefoxes.
And the Cynidiceans. Their dream world, the masks, the different factions vying for control, Gorm, Usimigaras, Madarua.
And looming over it all, Zargon, that fantastic, epic villain with the clear goal of destroying his horn.
Then the whole adventure opens up. The underground city, the lake, the island of death, those ancient arches.
The different adventure hooks, raids, prophecies, finding that antidote flower.
All the way down into the goblin caves, the hobgoblin stronghold with attack apes, the ogre lair with evaporated
The
potions.
creepy sink, the ruby mines, the passage to the Underdark.
And finally, the Mines of Doom with Myconids and a prankster dragon guarding amazing treasure. It just keeps going.
It really does. And you know, this deep dive, it really gives you a shortcut to understanding some key things about early D&D design, how they were playing with lore, with campaign-long goals, with villains that were more than just monsters.
Yeah, you can see the seeds of later D&D ideas right here.
Exactly. But it also shows how good game design lasts. The core ideas here, exploration, factions, mysteries, a compelling villain, meaningful choices, they still work great today. That's why it could be updated so well for 5th edition.
It feels timeless in a way.
It does. It shows these modules aren't just static documents. They're living things, ready to be rediscovered and reinterpreted by new players, sparking new adventures.
So thinking about the Lost City, all its unique factions, that huge goal of rebuilding a civilization, facing down Zargon, it really is a monument to creativity. Makes you think, doesn't it? What lost piece of media, maybe from your own past, a game, a book, a show, might be out there just waiting for its own modern rediscovery?
That's a great thought to end on. What forgotten gems are waiting in our own attics or hard drives?